If you're watching this, it means you probably ran your survey. You got the data and you have hundreds of responses sitting in a spreadsheet. And now what most marketers may turn this data into a nice report with graphs. Maybe you present it in a meeting and then the insights sit there. The strategies stay the same, or even worse, you're trying to do everything and nothing at the same time because you don't know what to prioritize. But data without action is just a pretty slide stack. And today I want to show you how to turn survey data into decisions, but also what to keep and what not to keep. Ideally, using the power of AI as well, so that we take what we want to learn and we get a bit of help to do it faster and more efficiently. Today's video is brought to you by our friends at SurveyMonkey. And together, we want to make sure that you can turn your market research and surveys into one of the best hidden marketing superpowers. We'll look at how you can do it combining AI with your own reflections. And I'm also going to show you how you can get started inside SurveyMonkey and save a hell of a lot of time for yourself in the process. Let's say you sent out your first survey and what you get back is 200 plus open-ended responses. What I find is that the manual analysis trap is real, because when you're staring at a spreadsheet, you might be drowning in data, but actually starving for the insights. So actually handing analysis to AI can become one of your best secret weapons, because you can use any AI tool that you have access to or a built-in AI survey platform. In this case, I'm going to show you SurveyMonkey and how you can use this. But it's the approach that will work regardless of how you go about it, because AI can help you do the hard work so that you can focus on the solutions. What would happen if I asked it to help me identify some trends in the responses? Instead of me having to do it manually, AI gave me exactly the trends that consistently show up in the responses as well. Anything from the interest in mentoring all the way to the specific desired outcomes and barriers are actually highlighted. This is saving me so much time. So I can do this for every single step. From step 1 to step 4, I can follow the different stages. But we can also look at the fact that some of the main barriers and objections are actually related to this feature. This can actually help us understanding how can we shift our positioning entirely. Let's look at our biggest pain point. In this case here, it gave me lots of different pain points. However, it identified that the one that is recurring again and again is uncertainty about benefits. And what is really interesting is that it also shows which ones haven't been touched at all. And if I wanted to look more for different segments, it can also do that for me. So if I wanted to say mentors versus mentees, or people that just want to be mentees versus both, it could actually give me some insights and data on that, which could be incredibly powerful as well. And actually, not only you can identify those themes, but then AI can also take it one step further by quantifying them for you. So you can actually group similar responses and start looking at how many fall into each category with different nuances. And the beauty of this is it means that there might be overlaps when it comes to the grouping for individual answers, but AI can look at the context of the whole survey and still rank things faster for you. Let's see what happens if I ask some of the questions in our step-by-step review of our data. In our example, I'm going to ask which type of mentoring setup would have the best ROI based on what we know already. What it did for me, it basically looked at a different type of formats and identified the group of virtual are the most popular and score highly for usefulness, as well as the fact that people having less time and lowest budgets, it means it will probably be the best for you. So it can even give you an answer to this specific signal. One of my favorite questions is, what can I actually do to see if this is working? And hopefully within my responses, AI can find a bit of help for me to identify that action for myself. Not only it tells me what I should be doing, I should actually test my mentoring program with a small pilot group mentoring session. It even tells me the preferred formats as well that probably we should do and why. It gives me the alignment of the responses, but also the budget preferences. And it gives me a bit more ideas on how that tiny action will unfold. This is incredibly powerful for me, and it gives me lots to actually tap into as well. Another thing that we can do within our analysis before we even take action is check for sentiment. You really want AI to help you categorize responses and look for positive, neutral, negative patterns. What is the weighted average score for commitment, confidence among respondents who prefer group mentoring? Let's see what that is. This is very interesting. So it's telling me that among the respondents who prefer group mentoring, the average score is 2.0, which is low to moderate compared to the one of people able to commit to the program, which I think is really interesting. So the answer I got is 2. So it says among respondents who prefer group mentoring, the weighted average score is about 2, the relatively low to moderate level of confidence. So it also gives me a bit of an understanding of not just what I'm looking at, but what that actually means. And finally, AI can also help you filter for quality, which is one of my favorite things. You want to identify rushed response or interesting but not relevant responses, because a lot of the time, out of 500 responses, I find there's probably a good 10% or even 20% of answers that are off topic or very much rushed. And since we're looking for quality over quantity, I want to make sure that I know exactly where I should place my time. I want to get my data to a state where I know exactly where am I wanting to go, so that I can take strategic action without having to get overwhelmed. So AI can help us in these ways to find the right themes. Now we can turn these themes, patterns, and sentiments into action. This is how I would do it. 4 steps. The first one is the signal. I want to identify what keeps showing up. And this is where AI can really help, because we're looking at the whole survey, not just individual questions. For example, there might be a clear divide if we're doing like a B2B marketing platform between sorting, reporting, and easier collaboration with the team. Actually, looking at this, we identify there's 2 different customer segments, and we can build a completely different strategy for both of them. Step 2 is the friction. It is finding the biggest pain point. And what I find really interesting when it comes to the friction is that a lot of the times this can be tied to the sentiment piece. The sentiment itself can help us understanding, out of all the frustrations, which one in your own customers or competitors' customers' words are the ones that are affecting them the most. And also, once we know the biggest pain points, we're able to identify what is step 3. What is the leverage? Yeah. So step 3 is the biggest return on investment. And unless we do step 2, unless we get a clear understanding of all the pain points, and also we can rank them in order of priority, once again, hopefully with AI, the leverage is really where we are seeing what are the best things that we should focus on right now. Maybe as a CRM tool, it can be different integration like with Slack or other tools to make it easier for you to actually integrate and move across different platforms. If we're looking at skincare, a lot of the time we find that education might be as important as before and after examples to build trust with your audience. Basically, this is yet another way not only to see what actions we need to take, but also start to prioritize them. And with this, we can take it one step forward, which many people don't talk about, which is step 4. And it's the quick wins. We're already starting to build some patterns with our pain points and now our leverage, but we might have a lot of actions that we can take, and some of them might take time. But how about adding some quick wins? How about choosing one tiny immediate action that we can use right now to test our assumptions? For example, if we're looking at a CRM tool, like I mentioned before, launching just one simple Slack integration as a beta feature means that we can look at how this type of integration would work before we build the whole ecosystem of them. For a skincare brand, if we look at one educational video versus one before and after video and see which one will perform best, we'll test whether our assumptions are correct from one type of content versus the other. I want our decisions to be guided by data in a way that is not based on assumptions, but is based on patterns. And the final step, which does require a bit of a follow-up, but listen to me, it's going to be key and it will make or break your strategy, is to take what we've learned and retest it. Yes, I'm asking you, after 30 days of your first survey, to run a tiny follow-up. And it can be literally 2 questions. What's working for you and what is the one thing that... And after this, I want you to run, after 30 days, a tiny follow-up survey. And all you need is a couple of questions. I wanted to maybe ask the questions that you asked before that you found had the most interesting answers and see whether the patterns are the same. And then as the responses are coming in, you're using an AI to ask again, how has the sentiment changed compared to our first survey? So AI can compare your data sets and tell you instantly if you're moving in the right direction, especially if you are repeating the same questions and actually reflecting back pain points or even leverage that you want to take, and see what the audience says right now and what it does next. SurveyMonkey can literally do it for you. What I've done, I've clicked on my multi-surveys analysis, and that allowed me to combine responses from multiple surveys. So if I had 2 surveys with the same questions repeated, then I can go down and find the selected questions and see how the response might have changed. So if you look at this right now, you can see that depending on the answer, I can see whether in the first survey, people preferred group, but then in the follow-up, they preferred one-to-one. This gives me a great opportunity to see how things might have changed as I have actually done my pilot and I've gathered more data and different data. The fact that I can do this in 2 simple clicks instead of having to sift through data myself is insane. The best thing you can do is make a copy of your existing survey and only keep the questions that you want to validate for yourself. If you do that, you'll be able to see exactly how that will change over time. This is another example right underneath where I can see exactly how this might have changed with my follow-up survey. Simple, effective, and quick for me to review. The truth is that insights are worth nothing if you cannot act upon them. So my challenge to you is to use AI to find the patterns so that you can take the right action and channel your creativity to actually move the needle in your strategy. And if you need any help turning data into decisions, check out SurveyMonkey. Not only it can get the data that you need, but it can also give you the AI analysis and the right insights to make your strategy a winning one. Why not check in SurveyMonkey for yourself? Get a free account in the link in the description and see how you can turn all of your insights into actionable steps.